welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. My name's Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And this is a show where we demystify your iPod and your MacBook Pro and your Apple TV. And Windows 7 and stuff like that.
It's a really weird list for you, dude.
I know, it's kind of the new Apple-friendly Lab Rats because, come on, now I've become an Apple guy and, I've joined in your fanboy-osity.
A zealot.
No, I will never become a zealot, I promise you. I've been using Windows 7 on my MacBook Pro. It's very good.
Why poison a good thing?
But that's another episode. Today, we're very excited because, of course, we finally got our hands on the iPad. Now, you remember this from a few episodes ago when we got our magic prop? Well, now we actually have a real one.
Pretty lame, Millhouse.
Look at how close it is. Look at this. This is amazing.
Okay.
Look at that. Almost exactly. Now, my button doesn't work, of course.
It does. You can see, oh, you don't want to read
Nice.
my mail. Anyways, yeah, this one over here it's pretty close, although it's a little bit big. But you can
I'll just take it back here.
force perspective or something like
Perspective.
that. Yeah. So yours is.
There you go. See? It's the same.
It's exactly the same, although it is a little bit on the light side.
Right.
But we'll talk about the actual hardware angle of this when we get into the episode itself.
Okay, good. Well, there you go. So today we're going to look at the Apple iPad and let you know whether or not it lives up to the hype, because there's been a lot of hype. So let's take a break. When we come back, iPad, hype-worthy or not? Today on
Lab Rats.
Well, welcome back. So before we get started on iPad deliciousness, just want to remind you about hover.com, a website that allows you to register all kinds of crazy domains. I have like andywalker.com there and technology tips and all kinds of stuff. So, and you have a couple domains there too?
I have a few.
Which ones? I'm a dweeb.com.
And iPod is so delicious.
There you go, .com. Here's a 10% off coupon for you to go and give it a try. Fabulous thing, all kinds of great services, mail as well. Check it out, hover.com. All right, let's get started. So iPad hyposity. It has been crazy.
Yeah, look at this
I've
thing.
never seen so much hype around a particular gadget released in my entire life.
Yeah, it's like everyone was expecting the second coming here, the way everyone was talking about this. And, it's pretty cool, but almost nothing could live up to that kind of hype.
Fair enough.
You'd think.
You would think, yeah. But bottom line, not a bad little device, right?
It is a pretty cool little device. We've had our hands on it for a few days now. We've had it about a week or so. It's been making the rounds. So I don't think any of us has gotten as much time with it as we'd like to really get a good overall feel for it.
Right.
But enough of a feel.
To get a sense of it, right? So, now I know that there's been one issue that's come up immediately, and that's about Wi-Fi. So let's talk a bit about hardware, because I think the initial impressions of hardware are important here.
Right. So, I mean, the first thing you'll notice about the hardware is it's a beautiful looking device. It's got a great screen, a 9.7-inch screen, 1024 by 768 resolution, which is 4:3, a little bit weird, but
you think it'd be like widescreen type of...
You think it would be, but it actually kind of makes sense when you see a lot of the apps that they're putting onto this thing. You need wider screen real estate, and if it was that skinny going down, it would look a little bit odd in portrait mode. The device itself, it's aluminum back, dissipates heat. Now, the one thing you mentioned is the antenna for the Wi-Fi. It's a little bit less than adequate.
Sure.
It's right back in here, and when you sort of stick it in your lap, it sort of goes away. So you'll find that
family goodies can obscure the signal?
Yeah, something like that. Either that or too much interference from radio devices in your pocket or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
But it can get very lousy Wi-Fi reception.
Yeah. We did a test in the office, and we had an iPod or an iPhone next to an iPad, and we had what, 4 bars on on the iPhone and 2 bars on the iPad. Same proximity. Same office, same Wi-Fi transmission, so clearly it does have some problems there.
Yeah, and this is a pretty common thing. So it wasn't just our office or the fact that the iPhone was sitting beside this disrupting it. It's pretty well known that in places where you can take and get good signal with other devices, this gets lousy, and it sort of drifts in and out as well. So not perfect.
£1.50 pound.
Pound and a half.
Do you think it was too heavy?
Is it too heavy depending on what needs to be in it or what you'd like it to be?
Well,
I guess that's the question.
For me, tactily, when I picked it up and I went, if I'm holding this for 15, 20 minutes, it's going to feel a bit heavy after a while.
It is a bit heavy.
It's heavier than a paperback book. It's probably about as heavy as a hardback book, maybe even a little heavier than that.
Yeah, it depends on how heavy the hardback book is. But yeah, it is a little bit heavy. It's lighter than your notebook. It's lighter than a lot of netbooks. So if you have to carry some sort of device around, this one's actually not a bad choice because it's not as awkward as carrying around a netbook with, you know, the fold up and trying to find a place to put that on your lap and position the screen. This one you just basically carry it around in your hand, and there it is with you. So a little bit heavy, yes.
And arguably, though, it necessarily needs to be 1.5 pounds because it's got some good battery life in it, and battery takes some heft in the device. So I guess it's a compensation between weight and battery life, and it has good battery life.
We're seeing about 10 hours in it in some cases, so it's more than it's apparently even rated for. But yeah, you can see it actually curves down a little bit, and a lot of this on the back here is battery on both sides of the back of the device.
So let's get into the functionality, because I think that's obviously where a lot of the hype come from, starting with perhaps a media player. I mean, to me, I watch a lot of movies on my iPhone when I'm on an airplane, when I'm sitting around at home, when I'm sitting in bed. I'll actually it'll use it as a personal media viewer. So now this is a bigger screen, so it makes sense to watch movies, and of course it's plugged into the iTunes store. So what was your impression of it as a media player?
As a media player, it actually is quite nice. So we'll click on something here and start playing it. It starts in portrait mode like this, but when you play it, it'll go into, well, hopefully, actually, you know what, we've got it in orientation lock, and that's one nice thing about it. It actually has a screen lock so that when you're in one particular mode, like reading in bed or trying to look at it like this, it's not constantly flipping back and forth. So it's letterbox, as you can see in this, because of the 4:3 display. It still looks very good despite that. And this is actually a fairly narrow movie that I've got on here. A lot of the other ones that are not like that will look a little bit better. So. So, and the player controls are there. It plays really well. The one thing that we don't like from a media player perspective on this is that, so far as we can tell at this point, to get stuff playing on this, it actually has to be on the device. So, unlike
no streaming.
No streaming. There will be apps for that, but when you fire up your iTunes, unlike on your MacBook or on your Windows machine, when you have iTunes running, you can stream from other machines in the house that have media libraries. This one, we haven't figured out how to do that yet. Maybe it's possible to do that, but it's not obvious.
What I do like is it has 64 gigs of space on here on the top end unit. Lots of space, of course, for movies and TV shows.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it beats out the iPhone anyway.
Right. So this one that we have is 16 and it also comes in 32. So there's $499, $599, and $699 for the 64, so long as you don't get the one with the Wi-Fi, or sorry, the 3G networking built in as well. And 64 gigs is right. It does have a lot of space on there for all of your media, but you have to sync it over here.
I think it'll put the DVD players out of business, frankly.
Yeah, probably.
Eventually, anyway, if not immediately.
I'm already finding DVDs less than adequate. So.
When you fire up the ebook reader, I guess there's a new function. There's a new application on here called iBooks, and basically it's a library. It's designed to give the iPad book functionality, so you can sit there and read, just like the famous Amazon Kindle. There it is there. This is what, Winnie the Pooh?
No, this is actually Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which is something that our friend Andrew Moore-Crispin downloaded.
Yes.
I think by mistake, but I don't think it's ever a mistake to download Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Nice.
Anyways, so this right here, it's got the sort of thing that you'd expect. I'll go back there. You can see it's got pictures in there, so you can see Abraham Lincoln hunting vampires right there. But you'll notice when you scroll here, you actually see the page turning, and you have that experience. So this is iBook. This is the one that comes built in with Apple. And you can tilt this way, and you can see a double page spread.
Nice. So it kind of simulates the actual book experience.
It does.
Yeah.
Now
this is an LCD screen, though, and it's backlit.
Yeah. So let's compare this for a second to our friend the Kindle. If you hold this one for a second, hold that upright. I'll get this one going. And now we've got this one right here. So you'll notice one thing immediately with these two things. That one's really bright.
Yeah.
This one right here looks more like paper. You wouldn't even know that this was an electronic device. It just looks like it's printed on there. Now imagine reading this with a backlight like that for any length of time.
It's not going to happen. And that's, I mean, really, the Kindle uses a technology called electronic ink. So it's actually not backlit. It simulates the actual reading on paper, and it's high resolution. So I think you'll find, that if you're going to spend any time reading a book on the Kindle, we'll beat it out every single time here.
Yeah, now I've read hundreds of pages at a stretch on the Kindle with no ill effects. It's a very comfortable experience. It's a very lightweight kind of device, easy to hold, very comfortable even with one hand to sit there, rest your other arm, flip pages with your thumb. This one right here, you have to have both hands up. It's very heavy, and after about 5 or 6 pages, I find my eyes just ache.
Yeah.
And this can be adjusted with, you can do black on white on this. You can do white on black. You can do sepia tone to try to adjust that, but it doesn't negate the fact that it's still backlit, and that really hurts the eyes after a while.
Right. But perhaps, if you're not a Kindle killer, which I don't think it's going to be, it might actually be a newspaper. Oh, actually, it might save the newspaper business.
It might save the newspaper business,
This
right.
is the USA Today app.
So,
but that's an amazing, right? So if for just simple information browsing, like you would a newspaper or a magazine, it's a great way to consume periodicals and daily news and that sort of thing.
right, and this is a short-term sort of reading experience when you're reading the newspaper. And the nice thing about this is it actually has little widgets in here, so that if you want to see the weather, you can tap on the little icon on there for that.
Nice.
You can't do that with your regular newspaper, obviously. And then go in and just check out the other sections like so. And it's a really neat experience on this. Now, not all of this is available to us in Canada. In the States, it's a little bit more rich. You've got a few different magazines like the Wall Street Journal. You've got New York Times has something available, so and other magazines. And it'll all be through individual apps from the.
And as this rolls out internationally, I'm sure there will be all kinds of international publications make it available. You know, I can see this doing really well in the UK with the zillions of newspapers they have over there.
Yeah. The one nice thing that I found is it does have the Kindle app. You can get it for the iPad. It is optimized for the larger screen and the color. So any books that you've previously downloaded for this, you can read on here if you want to try. Right. And all the magazines, which you can't get through iBook, you can still get through this, I believe.
Very good.
So that's one alternative. I don't know. I sit there and read on the Kindle application on this for any extended period either, because the backlight still hurts.
Good. So bottom line, not a Kindle killer, but certainly good for media.
Probably not a Kindle killer.
Yeah. Let's move on to apps too. So we talked about the USA Today app. Obviously, that's the way they're going to implement the newspapers. Apps are done a slightly different way, obviously with more screen real estate here.
Right.
You know, it's a different experience for apps. So let's talk a bit about apps.
Right. Well, we've seen a couple there already that had the full screen real estate going. Now, this one right here is one of the old apps. This is our Facebook app. And one of the things that they wanted to make sure is that if you had old apps, that they would actually still run on here, and they do it in something called pixel doubling mode. And I've got a little button in the corner here that says 2 times. So we tap on that, and it'll actually zoom in. Now, from a Facebook perspective, this may be not the best application to show this off, because you can actually go to Facebook on the web browser here and get more screen real estate. But this sort of illustrates the whole point, is if it's a text-based app, it'll zoom in on it, or well, actually it'll spread out across the page. It doubles the pixels, but it makes it a little bit jaggy, so it's not smooth. It doesn't look particularly great.
Yeah, it's not ideal. But all 120,000 iPhone apps will now run on the iPad, which is great in this pixel doubling mode.
Right. The one place where I did see that it does help to do the pixel doubling mode is this is a game I love called Scramble. You play this game where you do this. You basically find words in here, and I'm going to choose die because that's very non-morbid. Anyways, so the whole point of this is you just draw your finger around there. Now try doing this on an iPhone. In the 5x5 mode, it's nearly impossible. You're hitting stuff that you don't mean to, because your fingers are pretty fat. Yeah. Typically for a 5x5 grid on the iPhone. Whereas on this, it actually isn't.
My fingers fat.
My fingers are fat, dude. Yeah. So it actually helps in stuff like that. Even if it looks a little bit lousy, it gives you the extra screen real estate that actually makes it sort of easier to use a lot of these apps.
Okay. Let's talk about games now, because of course you showed a little one there. It's a casual game, but really what's cool about this from a gaming app perspective is it's got all the screen real estate, and don't forget too, it's multi-touch, which means you can use more than one finger at a time to actually give input to the device. So for controlling a game, for example, becomes a whole new experience, and that really is going to revolutionize mobile gaming. I know you had Need for Speed on there somewhere.
Yeah, the Need for Speed is coming up, and I haven't actually played this myself, but it looks gorgeous once it gets rolling. It uses the whole screen, and the multi-touch capabilities of it actually do make it a really nice experience.
So native apps look actually fantastic on this. You know, if they've scaled it for the iPad, they look absolutely gorgeous. You've got making any headway, or have I lost you to the game now?
Ooh, I'm playing the game. I'll be back with you in a bit.
Okay. All right. Now, are you done?
Yes. Well, we'll show off a little bit of Need for Speed afterwards.
Okay, fair enough.
But the extra screen real estate does make it look really great.
Okay. But games aside, so forget games. Can I be productive with this? I know that they have a version of iWork on this now from Apple, which allows you to word processor and. Is it really a productivity tool?
Is it a productivity tool? Yes and no. Now, there's two things that are a problem here. Okay, so we'll go to Pages, first of all. And Pages is the word processing app. Yeah. Now, unlike iWork, which is a single standalone application that you buy on CD and download and install on your Mac, this one comes in 3 separate apps. It comes in Pages, it comes in Numbers, and it comes in Keynote, $9.99 each.
Ooh, they're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
And actually, that reminds me then, so all the iPad apps are actually a little bit more. They're not just 99 cents
Yeah.
or $2, right?
They are.
A little more pricey.
So let's get started. So you see you have a keyboard there. Now try typing on that little keyboard. And look at the size of my hand on that. That's not going to be comfortable doing any extended amount of typing on this.
Right.
Now it is fairly well endowed from a functionality perspective. It does do a lot of the stuff that you can do on the desktop. But without the keyboard, you're not going to be having very much fun on this. So if you want to get yourself one of the keyboard docks for the iPad, then you can actually start typing. You can also use a Bluetooth keyboard to connect to this, and you can type that way if you have a dock and a way to stand this up. And then you can do a lot of what you would do. Is it as easy as working on a computer? Well, no. It's a compromise.
So not necessarily a laptop replacement per se, but perhaps something good for commuting, something good for around the house, taking notes, you know, getting a couple things done on the fly kind of idea.
Pretty much.
Very good. And of course it comes with all the different, it's got an Excel, like a spreadsheet type application as well.
Yep. Right, anyways, this is the spreadsheet, so an expense report.
Oh, good. Very good. And final thought before we go to break, email and web browsing, obviously a completely different experience on the iPad versus the, versus the iPhone.
So the one thing I'll bring up here, I'll find our little Butterscotch applet here. So if you hold that, I'll bring up a Butterscotch on my iPhone. And you can see right there, you get a good chunk of the of our website looking at it this way. It's a lot of text. You can actually play through here. And when you try to do this on an iPhone, you get much less usable space here.
That's nice. Well, thanks to HTML5, we can now play videos on a mobile device. Yeah, not the same experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, the resolution from a dots per inch perspective on the screen is higher on the iPhone, so you do get more crammed in per inch, but it's not really usable.
No.
You have to start zooming, and then you lose the thread of where you are, where you can fit a lot more onto this. Right. It's a much more rich and usable experience on the iPad.
Very good. And email? Email is different too, right?
Same sort of thing, yeah.
Right.
And you've got, on this, you've got like one little panel. That one, you've got 2 panels that you can flip through. You can have your message panel on the one side, which you can flip up and down. You can scroll through your messages on the other side, especially if you flip it into landscape mode.
Fantastic.
So.
Nice.
And you can do both of them at the same time. That's one of the nice things about multi-touch. Not that you'd ever really want to do that on mail.
Well, let's take a break. There you go. Productivity actually works on the iPad. Let's take a break, and after, when we come back, we're going to have final thoughts on the future of the iPad, whether he and I will buy one, and whether you should too. And that's after this. Well, as you can see during the break, Sean decided to kick his Need for Speed habit up. And how are you doing there, mister?
Well, it's using the accelerometers, which is
Don't drive on the sidewalk,
hard to do. So you tilt forward to roll, and then you turn sideways to go forward. You can hit this anywhere to get the rearview mirror, and then, I don't know, basically you'll crash no matter what you do
Okay,
for the first little bit. So
peak at gaming on the iPad.
So, but it looks great, though.
It does, doesn't it? Okay, so what's the bottom line for you? Are you going to buy one of these things?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think.
Now, going to wait till version 2.0, and because obviously Apple's very good at, you know, the first version's great and also hype, but really the second version is where they fix all the problems.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll release a patch that will fix this one when it comes out. I don't know, but I see it as a good way to get reconnected with my family. is one thing.
How's that?
Well, right now when I go home at the end of the day, I still like to keep in touch via email and check the web for things every so often, but right now it's just I'm tied to my desktop or I'm tied to my notebook, and I don't want to haul my notebook around the house everywhere I go. That's just a little bit annoying. So what I end up doing is I disappear into my office, get on my notebook for a little bit, and then, you know, an hour later I find myself, oh crap, and then I reappear, and
suddenly your wife wants to divorce you.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah, more or less.
Got it.
Whereas something like this might be a good way to basically be in the room with someone and do all those same things without carting around a bunch of equipment.
I think my 8-year-old stepson's going to love this. I think it's going to be his thing.
Why is that?
I just think that it's so naturally intuitive. You've seen the videos on YouTube of the kids picking this up and taking it on. You know, it's the same cost as a netbook. I think you'll love it. So that's where we're going to keep it at home, keep it near the couch, that sort of thing. Look at a drawing pad. That's fantastic.
You can just play and just
very
get all
cool.
the crayons. Yeah, I love this.
All right, iPhone OS 4.0 is coming out this summer. Summer 2010.
Yes.
That has multitasking in it. Should fix a couple of the problems with this.
Yeah, so yeah, that's one of the productivity problems that we have is you cannot listen to music while you're doing stuff on this. So now you can listen to Pandora in the background or Slack or whatever, and that'll help when it comes out, but that'll be the fall.
Okay, that's the fall. No, it's summer, isn't it? Summer 2010.
Summer 2010 for the phone, and then I think fall for this. But
for that, fall for the iPad,
I believe.
Version. Okay, very good. All right. Well, let's take a second break now. Andrew Moore Crispin, our web editor, has an amazing iPad series he shot very recently to take you through the real details about how this device works and how to learn it quickly. So let's take a look at that. A quick clip of that, and when we come back, we have pictures. That's you on this screen.
Welcome on deck. I'm Matt Harris.
Hi, I'm Jay Goldman.
Welcome to the A-List.
Hi, welcome to Miss Download.
So we can tap here. We can tap on the heading itself, and we get a brief description of what the book's all about. We can see ratings down here, or we could choose to add our own rating. You can read some reviews that other people who've read the book have put down here. If we are sold, we can tap on the button here to buy now, or we can go back to the store, choose to get a sample.
To see the whole series, you can go over to butterscotch.com/iPad to check all of those 10, actually there's 11 parts of that series.
There's a bonus part.
There you go, you get a bonus part as well. All right, time for pictures. Are you going to put them on the iPad or have you got them on the big screen?
No, they're not in here.
Not in there, okay.
So we've got them on the big screen.
Okay, let's have a look.
So first one up is from our friend Tom at Kittitas, Washington.
Nice.
And he gave us a series. So this is the Endless Recursion series.
Right.
So he put this on his MacBook, and now I get to do this.
Nice.
And now someone else can send this in on their computer.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. Perfect.
So thank you, Tom. And
Nice work.
and you wondered if people are going to start sending in lab rats on their MacBook? Well, he did.
They did. Thank you very much.
So
all right, good.
next up, we have some
Cats.
cats from Mark and Donna in, I think it's Midlothian, Virginia.
Nice.
And so there's two series of cats. This one was from 2005, featuring Penny, George, Tuxedo Bear, and Teddy Bear.
Tuxedo Bear?
Tuxedo Bear
names
and-
towards the end?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
So next batch right here.
Angry cats.
Angry? Are they angry?
Well,
No, not so much. But these cats right here are named Lima Bean, Butterbean, Stewie Griffin, and Brian Griffin.
Okay. Somebody's been smoking something special. Nice. That's good. Well, thank you guys for sending in your pictures. Hey, you too could feature your charcoal cats called Lima Bean on our show too if you just took the time to send us an email too.
The iPad is the greatest thing of all time, and this is yours, and this is mine. At labrats.tv.
Yeah, one more simply.
Feedback at labrats.tv.
Very good, very good. Don't forget, 10% off at hover.com for your domains, like my cat's name is limabean.com. It might be fun. All right, well, for Lab Rats, my name's Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And we'll catch you next time.
Are you ready? Try this at home.
So to see the whole, All right, let's try it again.